Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and this time we are talking about how it's now looking like a Mario 40th Anniversary Nintendo Direct is on the way. So a few weeks ago, I was talking about how I was looking for some evidence to suggest that there is actually something on the way. Yes, there are rumors, and I think the rumors hold some credible weight, but what I've been waiting to see is actual evidence out there suggesting that something is in the works, because when we go back to the year of 2020, for Mario's 35th anniversary, there were signs throughout the year leading up to the actual announcement of the presentation. And now, all of a sudden, around a similar time in the year, we are seeing similar signs leading up to Mario's 40th anniversary celebration, which may then suggest there could indeed be a Mario 40th anniversary Nintendo Direct, as the rumors have been suggesting, which would then mean some pretty exciting things. So that's what we're going to be getting into today. So the big thing that everyone's been freaking out about is this recent discovery on Twitter. So as you see here, here's an account, 0 posts. They joined back on July 2020, so this was Mario's 35th anniversary time, at Super Mario 40th. They're just following one account. What is this account? The official Nintendo account. And so you might look at this and say, oh, this is super fakeable, anyone could have done this back in July of 2020. That is possible. This may not be an official account, but it may also be an official account. Because what some people aren't taking into account here is that this is exactly what happened back in 2020 for Mario's 35th anniversary. So as you see here, reported by Nintendo Life, back in, July 2020, so back then, someone had created an account, or we had discovered an account that was created on March 2020 for Mario's 35th anniversary that's very similar. And when people went to go check the email, it lined up with other official Nintendo emails. And we now know that this account actually ended up being the official Super Mario 35th anniversary account. And so it's possible this could be a similar thing. However, at the same time, maybe someone saw this article or these discoveries and decided to lock up the account back on July 2020, when this article came out, by the way, when these discoveries were made. And maybe that's all this is some sort of fabrication or someone trying to get that account in case Nintendo wants to secure it in the future. But I'll just point out, it's not the only account that has been discovered. There's this other account here, Super Mario 40th. It's a locked account at Mario 40th. They're following no one, so it's a little different. But it was also created back in July of 2020. We do not know who owns this account, so this could be someone else that isn't affiliated with Nintendo, but it's also possible that it is affiliated with Nintendo. We are not sure right now. Point is, though, this has happened before, so it could happen again. So for this particular discovery, let's just put it under the rumor category for now. Be skeptical. That said, that isn't the only thing that has recently popped up. There is more. But I do want to clarify on something here, because I don't know if everyone's on the same page with this. We have seen Nintendo release merchandising leading up to the Mario's 35th anniversary. As you see here from this article, back on July 16th of 2020, they're reporting on a variety of different Mario-themed pieces of merchandising. There's a Monopoly set, there's a Jenga set, there's a Mario clothing line, and just to point something out here, none of this has 35th anniversary labeling here. It's all just celebrating Mario. But the point is, back in 2020, there is an increased amount of Mario merchandising. Why? Because there was a build-up to a bigger event, Mario's 35th anniversary. And as we've talked about in the past, every 5 years, Nintendo seems to be going bigger and bigger with Mario's anniversary when they celebrate it. They turn it into an event where there is merchandising, games, and different things coming out that Nintendo profits off of. Yes, they turn it into an event that makes them more successful. So of course, Nintendo would want to do this again. It makes them money, and it is exciting for fans because there are some cool Mario things that occur. Like we got Super Mario 3D All-Stars and Bowser's Fury for the 35th anniversary, so hopefully we get something as cool. And this makes even more sense when we also consider that Mario's next big movie is coming out early next year. To have Mario's anniversary to announce several things in lead up to the movie, it makes a lot of sense. We've talked about in the past as well that there is a notable increase across the board for Mario game sales. So it actually makes even more sense this time around now that the movie is lined up just after Mario's 40th anniversary celebrations, putting out even more Mario products to take advantage of the boosted popularity of the movie. The last Mario movie came out in 2023, Mario's anniversary, the 35th one, was in 2020, which trickled into 2021. This time it's immediately afterwards, so there's a lot more potential for success here. But anyways, what other things have been popping up that are similar to the things we saw popping up back in 2020? Well, I've covered this part before, but Uniqlo has announced that they are bringing back several clothing lines for Mario this year, including the Mario 35th anniversary line that they announced back in 2020. Several lines, and this stuff isn't announced every year. This is not an annual thing. This is something that happens only every once in a while. Interestingly, it's lining up with Mario's 40th anniversary. But there's more. Nintendo recently announced the My Mario line, which is releasing on August 26th. Now, this is not a large-scale thing. These are products that are going to be made available at Nintendo Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto. They have said that these products will also be made available across seas or overseas beginning in 2026, so this is not like a major thing, but it is something else. It is more Mario products coming out right before September, which is the anniversary month for Mario. Now, I've seen some people talk about how this has nothing to do with Mario's 40th anniversary, but I disagree. As I talked about, we saw a lot of Mario merchandising come out back in 2020 throughout the year that didn't have the anniversary moniker. This is the same deal. They wouldn't be announcing this in a Mario Anniversary Direct. It wouldn't fit the audience. This is for children. But it's still an increase in Mario merchandising and products that Nintendo likely is expecting to see an increase in sales across the board because of the Mario movie that they're going to start advertising likely next month for Mario's 40th anniversary. So yes, signs are popping up here. We have the official My Mario line, we have an official collaboration of clothing lines, very similar to what was happening back in 2020 leading up to Mario's 35th anniversary. And if this account right here actually ends up being Mario's 40th anniversary account, it's just going to be a full circle moment here where everything that happened back in 2020 is going to be happening again. Now, if you're wanting more evidence or reasons to believe that something is going to be happening here, I will point out that it was discovered a few months ago during the Switch 2 Direct that Yoshi's Woolly World was a part of compatible Switch games, and Yoshi's Woolly World never even came out for Switch. So this might just be a mistake. Maybe they confused it with Yoshi's Crafted World and they put it in there. But it also might be a slip up by Nintendo because they are planning to put out this game on Switch and or Switch 2 in the not so distant future, perhaps tying into Mario's 40th anniversary, because guess what? It's also going to be Yoshi's 35th anniversary. And we know Yoshi's going to be playing a significant role in the Mario movie because they did tease Yoshi at the end of the prior Mario movie, and so there may be plans here to have Yoshi play a more significant role. We even have the rumor coming from Special Nick of the Xbox Era podcast, who has gotten things right before, including the pricing and release window and bundling of Switch 2, that Nintendo's putting together a remaster of Super Mario Galaxy 2, which, by the way, is also starring Yoshi as the co-star for that game alongside Mario. So there's even more reason to think that something special is happening with Yoshi for Mario's 40th anniversary here. But then also a reminder, we did just get a rumor from Nash Weedle that there are going to be 2 Nintendo Directs in September, one of them being Mario's 40th anniversary having to do with the movie and the theme park and a game. And to corroborate what Nash Weedle has put out there, friend of the channel Attack the Backlog, who also had heard about the partner showcase, the exact time of it, had scheduled a live stream a week in advance, and had even teased one of the major reveals of that partner showcase, Elliot, The Adventures of Elliot. They have said they have also heard something similar, that there would be 2 directs in September, one of which would be a presentation talking about a movie and theme park updates, and including a game. Which is exactly what Nash Weedle's put out there regarding what he has heard from Mario's 40th anniversary in September. So the Mario 40th Anniversary Direct is not confirmed yet, but it does appear that the stars are aligning here, and perhaps even more little bits of evidence will pop up. Of course, we're already basically in the middle of August, we're probably just a few weeks away from hearing an official announcement on this presentation, if it is indeed happening, because this presentation likely is going to include a game, as we've been hearing about, right? Very similar to Mario's 35th anniversary presentation. And it happened in the beginning of the month, September 3rd, and they announced 3D All-Stars to come out a few weeks later into the month, and currently, there is no big Nintendo title slated for September. Perhaps it's all very intentional by Nintendo because they have a plan to air an early anniversary direct, and then a few weeks later, very similar to 3D All-Stars, they put out a major release in September for the anniversary that has to do with Mario. Now, what might that be? I think it might just be something that has to do with that remastered Super Mario Galaxy 2. Is this something that's going to be included in an updated version of 3D All-Stars? Is this something that's going to be its own independent thing that's a little bit more ambitious, more of a visual reworking, perhaps with some new content, including maybe having something to do with a campaign centered around Yoshi? These are possibilities. I will also point out, however, there is another rumor that there is going to be a Switch 2 edition of Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I don't think that would have quite the same impact, so I am more leaning towards this remaster of Galaxy 2 of the two. But I still think they might announce a Switch 2 edition of Mario Wonder. Maybe in this direct, maybe they save it to be announced for a future presentation. I think it is worth pointing out that the 35th anniversary direct had a lot of announcements. What we're hearing about this one isn't as many, but that doesn't mean they've heard about everything that will be in the presentation. Getting our first trailer for the next Mario movie though, and getting a game announcement, those two things combined would already lead to a pretty substantial presentation. So if they're fitting in a little bit more, like some more updates to the park and maybe a few other smaller announcements, that would be pretty cool. But I find myself getting even more excited for this potential Mario 40th anniversary celebration. And if this Mario 40th anniversary direct rumor turns out to be true, then that would then have us believing that the rest of the rumor would be turning out to be true as well, which would be a bigger direct after this Mario anniversary direct in September that would include a full force of third-party offerings here. A lot of the big third-party games we've been waiting to hear announcements for, they would be in this bigger direct in September, and this direct would finally be giving us the release date for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, presumably with a new trailer, more of a focus, and an announcement for a Metroid Prime 4 direct afterwards. So that would be some pretty huge stuff, and it would mean that September, and a little bit beyond, are going to be a pretty big deal. But what do you all think? Let me know in the comments below. This is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.